When the Trump saga finally comes to an end, do you think we can ever get back to the middle? Do you think it's possible to bridge the divide and get back to civility?
I hope so. Look, I think, yes, I think the question is how long will it take? And if you believe, and you know more about politics than I do, Steve, if you believe that presidential elections are often referendums on the thing that just happened, right? And so Donald Trump was a reaction in part to Obama, and you look for something that's sort of different and change. It's always change, but change from the thing you just had. That the next time we're in a go-around on this, we'd elect someone who has, the opposite qualities in many ways that Donald Trump has. But I think it's going to take a long period of healing and making up.
I think about this question from the perspective of what will they write 50 years from now about this moment in time and what comes after it. And I have a point of view that there is nothing wrong in America that cannot be fixed by what's right in the country. But I think the choice ahead for us as a country is renewal or decline. And we should make no mistake about it that the country is on a path of decline in many, many ways. And
not economic decline, is it?
42% of the country doesn't have $400 of cash available for emergency. I mean, there are more payday lenders in this country than there are Starbucks, and there are almost more payday lenders than there are Starbucks and McDonald's combined, and there are a shit ton of Starbucks and McDonald's in America. So I think that there's a crisis in capitalism. I think historically, if you understand FDR's presidency, I would have a point of view that he saved free market American capitalism from its excesses and prevented the rise of a totalitarian movement or an authoritarian movement in that moment in history. The economic dislocation, I think, is profoundly important in terms of understanding our political instability, but the regression of democracy all over the world is a real thing, and I think that the next presidential election is as likely to be the most significant in the country since the election of 1864, which really decided whether we were going to continue to be a country or not.
So how long is it going to take?
I think like what has always been true almost providentially in the country is that it has produced the right leaders in the right moments, unexpectedly. Harry Truman, a failed haberdasher from Independence, Missouri, a plain-spoken man who you wouldn't have high expectations of coming out of a very corrupt Democratic machine, the Pendergrass machine in Kansas City. Ulysses Grant was selling firewood on a street corner in 1859, down and out on his luck. Dwight Eisenhower was a colonel in the Army who hadn't been promoted in 13 years in 1940. And so the moment of crisis in the country historically in 1856, on the edge of the Civil War, we had one of the worst presidents, and probably, if Trump is the worst president in American history, and I believe he is, the second worst is probably Buchanan in 1856. But it took a Buchanan for us to get a Lincoln. And the question is, and I always think about Lincoln in this story, is William Tecumseh Sherman was highly skeptical of Lincoln when he was elected. And he said, the country's doomed. We've elected a backwoods barbarian. He's uneducated. He has no prospects to deal with the crisis in front of us. And then he was asked to comment about Lincoln after his death. And he had seen him with Grant a week before, and he said, I've met all the great men of the world. I've met the kings and the emperors and the queens and the industrialists, but I never met a man who possessed more of the qualities of greatness and goodness than Abraham Lincoln. And so I believe, right, that the presidency amplifies character, right? Donald Trump is who Donald Trump is, and all of his flaws and all of his character are magnified by his office. But I do believe that there are leaders out there who possess those qualities of greatness and goodness and who have it in their heart, the concept that you can't love your country if you hate half the people in it, and that the mission of the next president is to bring about a season of reconciliation. Because at the end of the day, we're in it together. And you can't succeed as a country when everybody's fighting each other with the anger that we see today. So I'm hopeful, but also alarmed.